From 2022 to 2024, he was secretly working with the feds, wearing a wire the whole time. Prosecutors now say that the recordings he made and the deals he took part in were major pieces of evidence that tied Lil Durk to a possible murder-for-hire scheme. The man behind it, a guy known as OTF Jam. Turns out, Whack 100 was not lying. Jam really did cooperate against Lil Durk, but now, it seems that betrayal may have cost him his life. Reports say OTF Jam, whose real name was Casey Hester, has been killed, possibly as revenge for snitching, and if that is true, it could turn Lil Durk's entire case upside down. Let's rewind and break it all down from loyalty to betrayal. Imagine a man who stayed silent through a full 12-year prison sentence. He came home to his day one friends, was welcomed with open arms, given money and respect. Then, out of nowhere, he allegedly started working for the feds, recording people he once called brothers. In some neighborhoods, that is not just seen as disloyal, it is the kind of move that puts your whole family in danger for generations. But before we get deeper into how Casey Hester became one of the most hated figures in the Chicago drill world, we need to understand the kind of environment that made this betrayal so serious. In these streets, your word is everything. Loyalty is not just a nice idea, it is survival. And the one thing you never want to be labeled as is a snitch. Back in 2010, while most people were just trying to figure out life, Jam was already knee-deep in street life. He was charged with attempted murder and got 12 years in prison. In neighborhoods like his, charges like that quickly show who is really about that life and who is not. Most would break under pressure, while most inmates were telling everything just to shave off some prison time, basically talking like they were auditioning for The Voice. Jam kept quiet. But behind the scenes, a deeper plan was taking shape, and nobody even realized it. While Jam was locked up, doing serious time in the Illinois prison system, a young rapper named Lil Durk was making moves that would change the drill scene forever. Around 2010, the same year Jam got locked up, Durk started building a crew called Only the Family, or OTF. At first, it looked like just a few neighborhood friends making music together. But over time, OTF turned into something much bigger. It was not just a music group or a record label. It grew into what prosecutors later described as a hybrid organization. On the surface, it looked like a legit business, but underneath, it was tied deep into street life. Out in the streets, everyone already knew OTF had close ties with the Black Disciples. This was not a group of suburban kids pretending to be tough. These were real street guys with real history. The music they made was not just for show. It told the truth about street life, rivalries, and violence. The drill tracks were like audio diaries, revealing details about beefs, murders, and revenge. It was music, yes, but it was also evidence of what was really happening. While Jam was sitting in a cell for over a decade, something wild and powerful was happening outside. Durk was rising fast. Drill music was catching fire around the world, and OTF was right at the center of that wave. Their songs were not just catchy, they were raw, real, and dangerous. They talked about getting back at enemies, street justice, and staying loyal. For many, those lyrics felt like truth wrapped in beats. And just as the world was watching Durk climb to the top, Jam was finally getting out and walking into a world that had completely changed. By February 2022, everything had changed. The same young man who started OTF back when Jam was getting locked up had become a giant in the rap world. Lil Durk had done what most people from his background could only dream of. He made it to the top without losing his street respect. But in the streets, success always comes with a heavy price. The same stories that inspired Durk's hardest lyrics and earned him a solid reputation were still very real and still dangerous. When King Von was killed in November 2020, it left a deep scar on the crew. In their world, losses like that demand payback, and in their code, some debts can only be paid in blood. This is where Jam's path crosses into one of the most serious federal cases in hip-hop history. When Jam got out of prison in 2022, he was not just another guy trying to rebuild his life. Durk welcomed him back with open arms. He gave him money, a place to live, a car, and even helped with his legal bills. From the outside, it looked like real brotherhood, Durk making sure his day one was taken care of. There is even a moment that got talked about. Jam, get out that jam. I'm going to give him 50. He said it without hesitation. No begging, no asking twice. It was like Durk was saying, "You're good now, I got you." Reports say Durk gave him over $50,000, along with a home and a ride. For someone fresh out after 12 years behind bars, that kind of help must have felt like a dream come true. It was not just support, it was a sign of deep trust and loyalty. OTF was showing what family was supposed to mean. But according to federal agents, something else was going on, something nobody in that inner circle could have imagined. They claimed Jam had been wired up the whole time, secretly recording conversations, and gathering evidence like he was filming a movie for the feds. If these claims are true, then every private talk, every moment of love, every act of loyalty was being secretly passed to investigators. This was not just one person flipping it, was someone using trust as a weapon. Someone who had been accepted into the crew's most sacred space allegedly turned around and helped build a federal RICO case. A case that could bring everything crashing down and put Lil Durk at the center of a murder investigation. On October 24, 2024, murder for hire charges were officially filed. The irony, a man named Jam who claimed he kept it real was the one who allegedly put everyone in a jam. After serving 12 years in prison, he came home, did interviews, said he stayed solid, and got rewarded. Durk gave him cards, cash, and a promise over $50,000, they say. But all of that trust now hangs in the air like smoke. In the streets, there are no written rules, but everybody knows the code. Loyalty means everything. Being called a snitch is not just disrespectful, it is a death sentence. But that sentence does not come from the courts. It comes from the same people who once showed you love. Now that these claims against Jam are out in the open, true or not, his fate might already be sealed in the eyes of those who live by the street code. That is the cold truth of the world they chose. The trap always has a cost. And as fall 2024 approached, everything was falling apart. The seeds of destruction had been planted long ago. They were fed by real violence and kept alive by the need for revenge. What happened next felt like something straight out of a crime thriller, but this was no movie. The pain was real, and the people who died were not getting back up after the scene ended. To grasp how serious things got, we have to rewind to the August 2022 shooting in Los Angeles, the one that killed Sava Lola Pab Robinson, cousin of rapper Quando Rondo. It was not some random shooting or a robbery gone wrong. Federal agents believe it was a planned hit. The goal? Retaliation, but instead of getting the person they were after, they hit someone close to him, an innocent life lost, while the target walked away. The motive behind this traces back to November 2020. When King Von was killed during a fight with Quando Rondo crew in Atlanta. Von was not just another rapper. To the OTF family, he was blood, a brother. The kind of loyal soldier every crew depends on. His death left behind a debt. In their world, that kind of debt can only be repaid with another life. That pain runs deep. Even fans, not just his closest people, carry that hurt. For many, as long as Von is gone, anyone connected to his death will always be a target. But now comes the darkest part, the betrayal from within. If what the feds say is true, and Jam was wired up this whole time, then he was not just watching from a distance, he was right in the middle of everything. They claim he was recording every step, the planning, the moves, and the fallout of what they're now calling a murder for hire plot. Court files show that this informant had shocking access deep enough to witness how the crew used credit cards to buy plane tickets on the same day as the attempted hit on Quando Rondo. That means Jam was not just nearby, he was inside the circle. He allegedly had front row access to every detail of how the plan was supposed to unfold, and he used it to help build the very case that would bring his own people down. The indictment revealed everything: trip details, meeting plans, and even strategic conversations. According to prosecutors, several key members of OTF were involved in organizing the alleged hit and later talked about how payments would be handled. The plan, they say, included not just money but even offers of music, industry deals as rewards for taking out Quando Rondo. What makes this even more damaging is how carefully it was all put together. This was not some sloppy street plot. It was calculated and coordinated, and that makes it devastating. 5 people were eventually arrested: Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Asa Houston. These were not just side characters, they were trusted insiders. They were the ones handling serious business for the crew. But what shocked everyone the most was the timeline. If the reports are true, Jam had been secretly recording for the feds almost as soon as he got out of prison in February 2022. That means nearly every conversation he had with OTF members over the next 2 years might have been captured and reviewed by Inside OTF reactions have been all over the place. Some members still defend Jam, saying they cannot believe someone they trusted would do something so foul. Others have completely cut ties, distancing themselves to avoid more fallout. The crew is now divided between those holding on to loyalty and those trying to shield themselves from more destruction. One video has gone viral and become a symbol of this whole mess. Jam sitting in a federal interrogation room, eating McDonald's. It has been turned into memes and jokes across the internet. But for many, it is not funny. It is a painful image of someone enjoying fast food while possibly handing over the lives of people who saw him as family. In communities where loyalty is everything, that visual hits hard. And this goes beyond OTF. If the allegations hold true, it marks a major shift in how federal agents are dismantling groups they view as criminal organizations. This is not just about catching people in the act. It is about embedding informants, collecting evidence over years, and slowly building airtight cases designed to take down entire crews, not just individuals. Jam served 12 years for attempted murder starting around 2010. He got out in 2020 to write. As tensions were rising around the Quando Rando situation, and allegedly began wearing a wire. If true, that means for 2 years, he was collecting conversations, watching movements, and feeding everything back to the feds. This was not some last-minute sting. The way things played out, the timing of the arrests, the teamwork between agencies, and the scale of the charges shows that this was a long game, a carefully planned operation by law enforcement that many never saw coming. As the news spread across hip-hop circles and beyond, the reactions were a mix of disbelief, outrage, and betrayal. People are asking how someone could keep up a lie for so long and what this means for the future of groups like OTF. When staying loyal starts getting you locked up, and playing the game means losing the game, the rules no longer make sense. This story is not just about Jam, it is about what happens when trust is broken. It is about how betrayal can destroy lives. And it is about how deeply federal infiltration can damage entire communities built on silent codes and unspoken rules. At the heart of it all is a warning, a lesson about the cost of revenge, the strength of federal power, and the harsh reality that living by street rules in a world governed by federal law will never end well. Before we get into what could happen next, we have to sit with how much has already been lost. On December 17, 2024, Jam finally responded on Instagram stories, trying to defend himself. He wrote, "When the discovery comes out, you're going to see I'm not how the feds got onto us or built their case. I'ma let the paperwork come out because it's gonna tell it all." By the time Jam spoke up to deny the accusations, the damage was already done, both to his reputation and, more critically, to his safety. In the world he came from, just being accused of snitching is enough to get you barely, literally. Whether or not the claims are proven true does not always matter on the streets. One person said, "I know Jam personally. My people are from Evans Street, St. Lawrence's side. Technically, he's from a block that would make him my enemy, but because of family ties, he never was." That is how deep and complex street loyalty runs. But in neighborhoods where the code of the street is the law, there is no need for courtrooms or trials. You are judged by your reputation, and once it is stained, the punishment often follows without warning. In these communities, trust is more valuable than money. Being labeled a federal informant is the ultimate betrayal, and those labels often lead to deadly consequences. Former friends, crew members, or even complete strangers may feel it is their duty to respond violently. Online discussions, especially on platforms like Reddit, are full of people questioning what might happen to Jam if he ever tries to return to Chicago. Most agree, guilty or not, the accusation alone has likely made him a target. And then things got even darker. Rumors began to spread that Lil Durk had ordered the murder of OTF Jam's baby mother as revenge for the alleged betrayal. Though these claims are unconfirmed and should be treated with caution, the fact that such a rumor even exists shows just how explosive and dangerous this situation has become. Some say Jam was actually in Los Angeles when things started unraveling. Word is, he got caught with a switch, and claims he was given $50,000 not as payment for betrayal, but simply as a blessing from Durk. "God was using Durk to help me," he allegedly told people, but not everyone bought that explanation. What makes this even harder to process is how many people who knew Jam well still refused to believe he could ever flip. He was known as someone who had done serious time without cracking, someone who lived by the code. If Jam was gonna snitch, he'd have done it years ago, one person said. He's real. Ironically, that exact loyalty is what may have made Jam the perfect undercover informant. Federal agents have become smarter, choosing people with clean reputations and deep trust so they can slip in unnoticed. When someone like Jam turns, it shakes entire communities. It makes people question everyone. But this case is not just about Jam or even about hip-hop. It highlights how far federal investigations have come. Using long-term informants, financial tracking, and hidden surveillance, law enforcement has shown it can quietly build cases over years, taking down entire crews. Not just individual suspects. You give a statement and agree to cooperate, one insider explained. Then you're getting up on that stand and repeating every word, or you're facing life in prison. You choose. The pressure, fear, and mental toll of living in such an environment are hard to describe. When everyone around you might be wired, when nothing feels safe, it can tear apart trust in ways that last far longer than any investigation. Now, let's address the viral rumor that Jam was smoked on camera. In November 2024, a video began circulating online, claiming to show Jam's death. But that footage has been proven false. The person in the video was not Jam, but CJI, a 16-year-old drill rapper from New York who was tragically shot and killed on October 24, 2024. As of May 23, 2025, there is no credible evidence that Jam has been killed. No death investigation is underway. The viral rumor was just that, an example of how fast and dangerously misinformation can spread in today's digital world. High-profile. Rumors always spread fast, especially when they involve controversy and betrayal. But the fact that so many people believed Jam had been killed says a lot about what people expect when someone is labeled a snitch in the streets. The general assumption: sooner or later, someone accused of cooperating will face deadly consequences. That belief reflects just how unforgiving the street world can be. Meanwhile, the legal battle continues. Lil Durk's trial has now been pushed to October 14, 2025. Delayed because of new evidence and possible plea deals. This shows the case is still evolving, with federal investigators slowly tightening their net. At the center of the case is one key issue: cooperation. Prosecutors are hoping someone will testify that Durk ordered the hit and that their stories match up. If that happens, Durk could be done for. But if the accounts start to change, or witnesses contradict each other, defense attorney Drew Finley is expected to pick it all apart in court. The impact on OTF has been massive. With several core members arrested and the legal pressure mounting, everything Durk spent over a decade building is now on the line. What is worse, prosecutors are using the crew's own finances, messages, and relationships as evidence against them. The same trust and loyalty that built OTF is now being flipped against it in court. Family members on both sides are speaking out. Durk's loved ones have publicly criticized the use of his lyrics as criminal evidence. Jam's family has strongly denied that he was a snitch. These reactions show how deeply this situation has hurt not just the people in the headlines, but entire families and communities. Whether Jam truly acted as a federal informant or he is just caught in a system reaching too far, one thing is clear: his story is now a warning, a powerful example of what can happen when street loyalty clashes with federal power. And maybe the harshest truth is this: those old street codes, the loyalty, the silence, they do not protect like they used to. The feds play by their own rules. They have money, technology, and patience. And when they decide to come after you, they usually win. This whole story is a reminder that when you live by street rules but face federal consequences, the house always wins. And the price of playing the game, it might be more than anyone is truly ready to pay.